This video is brought to you by my generous backers over on Patreon. If you'd like to support the channel and get cool perks like access to the Discord, seeing the videos a week before anyone else, or exclusive Patreon only gameplays, then feel free to check out my Patreon. The link's in the description below. Atla Palani Nest Tender versus Mogis, God of Slaughter, Gisath Sun's Avatar, and the new Kroxa Titan of Death's Hunger. We do not have a very good opening hand at all there, so let's mulligan. Yeah, that's way better, and we don't have to put a card on the bottom in multiplayer, so that's even better. Alright, and we draw into a tap land to start off with. We can always shock down the Temple Garden if needs be, so let's start off with an actual tap land in Mosswort Bridge. And what do we want out of all that? Boros Charm will be the most useful once we've gotten some big creatures into play. So, Boros Charm there. Not the best thing to put under a hideaway card, but it will be useful later on in the game. And a turn 1 Bloodchief Ascension coming down for Valdreig, the Kroxa player. These are all patrons, by the way. Managed to get 3 patrons together, so this should make for a much more fun game. Heck 1 is on Gisath, and then we've got Go-Go Batman on Mogis. They're playing a Mosswort Bridge of their own on turn 1. Nothing for Go-Go to do, we will just ramp in the early game, so we'll go Spire Garden whilst we've still got 2 opponents. And we'll go for this 3 visits and get out another tap land. Drew into the 1000-Year Elixir, which is sort of like haste for our commander. And we'll go for Canopy Vista there because we've got double white in hand. Tome of Legends coming down for Valdreig now. It enters the battlefield with a page counter on it. Whenever your commander enters or attacks, put a page counter on it. And then 1 tap and remove, draws a card. And that's not terrible. Then a Signet for Gisath. And an Ever-Flowing Chalice for Go-Go, who did struggle on the mulligan front, so now down to 3 cards in hand after the rack. Oh, I've never seen this promo version of the rack. So we're going to get a bit of damage dealt to us at the beginning of the turn. Oh, it's a chosen player, it's not anyone, so they've targeted Valdreig with that one. We've got some more ramp, we can go Chromatic Lantern. Yeah, we're curving out nicely here. Really don't want to struggle on mana in this deck. So we go Chromatic Lantern into Sakura Tribe-Elder. And I'll hold on to the Sakura Tribe-Elder just in case someone gets a haster down. So now the rack will trigger for 1 point of damage onto Kroxa. And an Endless Atlas for some more card draw. That is only when you control 3 or more lands with the same name. They're 1 off that with the Swamp. And Explosive Vegetation, so a lot of ramp going on in the early game. We're all doing well, drawing into our acceleration. And now a Tormenting Voice coming down for Mogis. They discard a card and draw 2. And they discarded a Harsh Mentor. Then going in for Phyrexian Revoker, that probably, I would think, that would name our commander actually, so let's go in for Sakura Tribe-Elder anyway. I doubt they're going to name Sakura Tribe-Elder with that, but still. Tome of Legends being activated for card draw for Kroxa. And we'll go for a mountain here because we're going to have double white off of the Temple Garden. And that's exactly what they do. They name Atla Palani. Was looking to go for Elemental Bond and 1000-Year Elixir next turn anyway, so we've got a couple of turns to draw into an answer for that. Okay, Galta and Zetalpa, not exactly cards that we want to see in our hand. But if we get into a land next turn, we can cast Zetalpa. And that'll draw us a card off of the Elemental Bond, so let's definitely get that down. We'll get down the 1000-Year Elixir as well. Then in comes Kroxa. Whenever it enters the battlefield or attacks, each opponent discards a card. Then each opponent who didn't discard a non-land card this way loses 3 life. We just have to go for Galta here and hope that we keep hold of our Zetalpa. Alright, so dinosaur over here, Frilled Death Spitter. A Lightning Bolt discarded for Mogis, and obviously we discarded Galter. Kroxa goes back into the command zone, which is noteworthy. Yeah, it doesn't really make much of a difference with the command tax this early on, especially with no cards in the bin. So they might as well put it back into the command zone at this point. And at least they can keep putting counters on this and drawing cards. Now from Hec 1 it is Sarkhan's Unsealing. Whenever you cast a creature with power 4, 5 or 6, it deals 4 damage to any target, 7 or greater, 4 damage to each opponent and each creature and planeswalker they control. Yeah, really good for only 4 mana. We don't want to be casting big creatures though, we want to cheat them out with Atla Palani. Although I don't know how much of a choice we're going to have there with the Revoker in play. During their main phase, Mogis deciding to cycle the Street Wraith, which is just draw a card, pay 2 life and discard that. Then they go in for Fractured Power Stone, and it is Hero's Downfall onto the dinosaur. And that is then with 0 cards in hand, then swinging in for 2 at Valdrieg. And that turn, a counter went on the Bloodchief Ascension. We'll have to keep a close eye on that. We're going to have to discard Zetalpa, I think. That is 8 mana. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7. Yeah. Well, Smothering Tithe it is then. I imagine Kroxa comes down next turn, so we'll have to discard the Zetalpa. And Kroxa goes in for the Endless Atlas because they now have the 3 swamps in hand that they need, or in play, that they need to activate that, so no point removing a counter from Tome of Legends. Followed by a Liliana's Caress, so not seeing their commander yet. We might have another chance to get down Zetalpa. Yep, they're just going for an activation onto the Walking Atlas, so they go up to 6 cards, which is way better than 2, 0 and 1. We did say that this was going to be a 6-power series of decks, by the way, so that's why you're not seeing a bunch of card draw and a grip full of cards in hand. Then it's Mana Crypt for Hec 1. In 2, the Gisath. That does have haste, so that is a 7-6 coming down. They'll be able to get a bunch of dinosaurs into play potentially. They only got 1 creature, unfortunately. That was a 2-3 with Enrage. When it's dealt damage, search your library for a basic, put it onto the battlefield tapped. And another counter on Bloodchief Ascension. I think they only need 3 on that thing. Then down comes Mogis. We'll probably have a couple of eggs to sacrifice to that. We won't be able to deal with Gisath, unfortunately. That trample is going to keep us from chump blocking with eggs. So let's have a look and see what we can draw into here. We'll take 2 damage first from Mogis. We can't sacrifice a creature. Alright, Heroic Intervention gives us Indestructible, which could be good with Zetalpa. Our commander is 6 to get down and tap for an egg. I think we're better just getting down Zetalpa this turn, to be honest. How much power do we need? It's 10, isn't it? Yeah, we need to see 10 power with that, so we're a ways off there. So we'll go in for Zetalpa, and if they decide to come in at us with Gisath, we can give it Indestructible. And we get into a land as well, so we'll play that this turn. And can't swing in, unfortunately. Could go in for our commander, but we can't tap it down for an egg. I'm not playing our commander until we can tap it down on the same turn. So that's probably what we're going for next turn. Bloodchief Ascension goes very nicely. With Mogis, we had to lose 2 life to that, so that is now active. But at least Kroxa has been dealt more damage by the rack with the more cards they draw from their artifacts. Then down comes the Kroxa again, so we might as well cast... do we want to use a treasure token for Heroic Intervention? Yeah, I'd rather just keep the mana, to be honest. There's really no point in going for Heroic Intervention here. We will lose 2 life from Bloodchief Ascension and 2 from Liliana's Caress as well. So we've all got 0 cards in hand, and Kroxa has 7. So that should place the attention of everyone well and truly over here. But we'll see what happens. Then following things up with a Bajuka Bog, which will exile someone's graveyard. And they decide to target Hek 1 with that, getting rid of Explosive Vegetation, the Frilled Death Spitter, Runic Armosaur, and Goring Ceratops. At least while we've all got 0 cards in hand, we're not as likely to discard anything, and therefore not take any damage to the Bloodchief Ascension or the Caress. And unfortunately for Hek 1, they are 1 power away from the Mosswort Bridge. They might be able to get it after this though. And yes, they correctly go in at Valdrieg. I think we all need to gang up on him at this point. And 2 points of damage going into Go-Go as well. Oh, and that looks like a complete whiff on Gisath, unfortunately. They have hit... How many cards do they reveal? Oh, it's dependent on the damage dealt, so it's the top 7. Yeah, there were some lands, a Worldly Tutor, some ramp, the Otapec Huntmaster. Yeah, that's just really unlucky from our opponent. Casting from their hand a Siegehorn Ceratops, so that switches on the Mosswort Bridge. Whenever it is dealt damage, put 2+ counters on it. Then it looks like they're going in for the Hideaway card. And it is a Mirari's Wake, so anything they draw into, they ought to be able to cast now. That also puts another power on Gisath, which means that they can reveal more cards off the top, make it more likely that they get into dinosaurs. Then deciding to crack the Kroxa Verge as well, get themselves into some more lands. Now that does mean that the cards that were revealed with Gisath previously are all going to go, well, they did go on the bottom, now they get shuffled up. So we don't need to keep track of those anymore. We have no idea what's on the bottom of Hek 1's library. Alright, and I think Mogis just played a land there, so deciding to roll the planar die just for the fun of it. Does absolutely nothing in Commander. What did they roll? They rolled a blank. We take another hit for 2 from Mogis, certainly not going to get rid of our big blocker. Alright, Path to Exile is not the worst draw we could have made. Let's go for our Commander finally. Then we'll activate our Commander. Get ourselves into an egg. And then 1000-year Elixir will untap her. And we can go for it again. So the 1000-year Elixir pulling double duty for us there. We're still not on Mosswort Bridge. So we just swing in at Valdrieg with his 6 cards in hand. This does have Vigilance, doesn't it? Flying, Double Strike, Vigilance, Trample, and it's Indestructible, which is noteworthy. I always forget this has Indestructible. So yeah, we didn't need to worry about the Heroic Intervention blocking the Gisath with any kind of buff or Double Strike. Going for 4 points of damage over at the Kroxa player and hold up the Path to Exile and a potential Mosswort Bridge. And now that we've got some eggs in play, Mogis might actually help us out. We can save ourselves some life on that, but we actually don't have a sack outlet. So Mogis is going to allow us to sacrifice an egg. I think we have to keep... Yeah, that's the problem. We have to keep Atla Palani in play to trigger the egg. The actual trigger isn't on the egg itself. So we still need a little bit of luck keeping our commander in play. Hedron Archive coming down for Kroxa, followed by drawing another card with the Endless Atlas, and then drawing a card with Tome of Legends as well. So they'll go up to 8 cards in hand. They will have to discard at the end of the turn. That's probably what their aim is. Maybe they can discard an Anger or something like that. Nope, they decide to get rid of Rakdos' Return. Luckily for us, it looks like Hek 1 just got into a land, so they couldn't play a big creature to shoot something. So we keep our commander in play through this turn at least. And this time they're swinging their commander in over at Mogis. And they're taking the ranging raptors in over there as well. Nope, pulling back. Just swinging in their commander at Go-Go, the Mogis player. And that is 8 points of damage. And an argument to be made for us going for Path to Exile there. But I'm half expecting a board wipe from either one of these Rakdos players anyway. I suppose Go-Go would have to top deck into one. Anyway, they get the Trapjaw Tyrant. Whenever it's dealt damage, exile a target creature an opponent controls until Trapjaw Tyrant leaves the battlefield. And Silverclad Ferocidons. Whenever it's dealt damage, each opponent sacks a permanent. Apologies if you can hear... I don't know if you can hear it. Tapping against my window. It's hailstoning outside because there's a storm rolling through. It is winter in the Northern Hemisphere, as I'm sure you're all aware. And yeah, it is tapping like crazy against the window. So you might be able to hear that. Not much I can do about it. So apologies for that. An Exquisite Blood off the top for Mogis. Whenever an opponent loses life, you gain that much. Well, we're going to sacrifice an egg. So we're not going to be losing life there. And then they roll the planar die again. Let's see if we shift planes. This is really, really important stuff. Rolling a blank again, not having the best of luck over there. Not going to bother with Path to Exile at the end of the turn. We'll just sacrifice the egg to the Mogis and we'll see what we get into. Atla Palani obviously triggers there. That gets us into Polyraptor. Whenever this is dealt damage, create a token that's a copy of it. And we've got Rogue's Passage, Fiery Confluence to trigger Enrage. And that can get rid of some eggs as well. So let's get the Rogue's Passage down. That's really in here for Galter and huge creatures like that, which it doesn't look like we're going to get into this game. We'll tap down the Atla Palani. And then untap Atla Palani again with the 1000-year elixir. Then tap her down again. And now what we could do is go in for Fiery Confluence and kill off all of our own eggs. But the problem is there's some Enrage over here as well. In fact, they've got more Enrage than we do. If we went for that, they would be able to search for a bunch of lands, a bunch of basic lands, put a bunch of plus counters on that, exile a target creature an opponent controls with that, and each opponent sacks a permanent with that. Yeah, it's this thing I'm worried about mostly. We could Path to Exile on that though. Oh, I just clicked the why on earth did I just clicked the Mosswort Bridge. Alright, well, I literally have no idea why I just did that. That was... oh, I played too many games, clearly. That was just complete... I must have had some green floating or something and clicked that by accident. Alright, well, let's go for... target creature you control gains double strike, does absolutely nothing. 4 damage to a player. There, we'll just do that. That's a complete waste of Boros Charm, so apologies for that. Exquisite Blood triggers, and the Blood Chief Ascension triggers on us. We'll swing in like that anyway. 8 more damage onto Valdrieg. Yeah, with all these cards in hand, I'm assuming they've got a board wipe, and they certainly want to board wipe if there's damage that consistently comes in at them. I think I'm just going to keep the eggs in play for now because they respond well to a board wipe. So we'll hold on to the Fiery Confluence at the moment. We're gaining Mogis a lot of life here, unfortunately. A Sangromancer now for Kroxa, and then each player discards 3 cards. Yeah, should have gone for Fiery Confluence apparently. Let's go Path to Exile on that thing. Well, we've still got the chance. Argument to be made for going for it onto the Sangromancer because of the life gain, but I want to be able to deal damage to our own stuff with Enrage. That's not really something we can go for with a Trapjaw Tyrant in play. So we discard the Fiery Confluence, everyone goes down to 0 cards in hand. I think they were already at 0 cards in hand though, weren't they? Going over to Hekwan's turn now, Gisath, again swinging in at Go-Go. Oh, and this actually affects Delirium Skeins. Each player discards 3 cards, so they had to discard 3 themselves, I didn't realise. That is Liliana, Heretical Healer, that they discarded. Phyrexian Scriptures, and Neheb the Eternal, so maybe they've got some reanimation in hand. This time they get into Itali, And they've got the Raging Swordtooth as well. When it enters the battlefield, it deals 1 damage to each other creature. So that triggers our Enrage. Yeah, I'm glad. I'm glad we got rid of that white one now. Where is it? The Trapjaw Tyrant. We've got plenty of things to sacrifice with the Silver-clad Ferocidons. And the plus counters and searching for lands isn't really of much concern of ours. Let's go for a copy of the Polyraptor. And then we'll grab 3 things off of Atla Palani. Sangromancer will gain some life as well. So, Valdrieg has gone from around the 10 mark all the way up to 25 off the back of a Sangromancer. This is a really, really good card to run in your black decks, as we're seeing here. Do we want to trigger Enrage again? All it will really do is give us a copy of Polyraptor at this point, so yeah, our opponent gets more out of it than we do. Not gonna go in for Forerunner of the Empire. Second card we get into is Nesting Dragon, and that one will trigger the Elemental Bond to draw us a card. We get into another land though. The Nesting Dragon, oh, we get into Gisath, that's really good. Still no Enrage, so let's go Forerunner of the Empire, and then draw our card first. Alright, Skyshroud Claim, so we're just getting into mana. No, we won't use that ability. Again, we're just going to give more Enrage triggers over here. Really bad matchup. We haven't actually discussed the specific decks that we were going to bring. We never do. And it just so happens that it's 2 Enrage dinosaur decks up against each other today. Alright, Blasphemous Act could be useful. We'll say no again to that. We'll at least get a bunch of egg tokens from the Nesting Dragon, assuming it stays in. From the Skyshroud Claim and the Fetch Land. What are we going to sacrifice here? We might as well just sack a treasure token. Sangromancer has been sacrificed by Valdrieg. And I'm not sure what Mogis sacrificed there. Anyway, after all that, Heck 1 still has a card in hand. And it's just a Nature's Law, thankfully. I don't think they have any kind of landfall. So after all the damage being dealt, Mogis is back up to 40. Valdrieg has managed to sneak his way up to 29 thanks to that Sangromancer. So we're still no further along. We're actually hovering at 13, and I don't think we can gain life in this deck. I don't know any of my decks inside and out because I've got so many of them. Surely there's some kind of life gain dinosaur. Alright, well, even if we do have one, that switches it off. No life gain for any of us. And Erebos going straight in for card draw, which feeds us a Smothering Tithe token. Then drawing another one, because they just drew into a land. Oh, I'm auto-yielded to Mogis, unfortunately. I could have made an egg in response to that. This is the problem with Magic Online. Okay, let's go for just taking 2. Yeah, that's the type of thing that can cause you to lose a game, but we'll go for taking 2 there. Alright, and more lands for us. We can't gain life anyway, so let's go for Atla Palani. Untap Atla Palani, and yet again tapping her down. So I should have done that in response to Mogis, but I was auto-yielded to that, which is, like I said, that's the problem with Magic Online. You end up doing things like that that wouldn't happen in paper. Nesting Dragon responds to the landfall, giving us yet another egg. And how does this trigger again? Whenever a dinosaur enters, it can deal 1 damage to everything. Okay. So we might be able to trigger that off of Gisath. We'll go for Skyshroud Claim here as well, to get some more eggs off of the dragon. And we're getting drained by the Bloodchief Ascension, because the Skyshroud Claim went into the bin, so we need to try and get rid of that player here, because that Bloodchief Ascension is just doing way too much. Try and get rid of Valdrieg. So that's 8 and 15, 25 with these 2. And then we'll have to hope that we get into a bunch of dinosaurs to block the swing in from Heck 1, who will probably come in at us. Failing that, we can just go in for Blasphemous Act after this, which is probably a good idea, to be honest. Alright, so getting rid of Valdrieg just because of the Bloodchief Ascension, had to do that. Unfortunately, we're going to gain Go-Go. Yep, they jump up to 70 life. And that's all Gisath damage. So we could hope that Hek 1 is going to get rid of Go-Go. I'll run that by him in the chat in a minute. We'll see what we get off our own Gisath first of all. Raging Sawtooth of our own. Do I want to go for Raging Sawtooth? Yeah, we'll do it just for the fun of it. That one is when it's dealt damage, put a plus counter on each other creature you control. So we'll put both of them in. Then we go Elemental Bond trigger, Elemental Bond trigger. And then it doesn't matter with these, does it? That is 1 damage. Yeah, so you have to deal the damage with that. So we'll go Forerunner, and then we'll deal the damage with the Raging Swordtooth, which will get rid of these eggs. It won't get rid of these, though. And is this a May ability? No, it's put a plus counter on each other creature you control. That actually messes up. We can't deal enough damage to our eggs in time, then. I don't think. Anyway, let's put Bellowing Aegisaur on the stack first. If Magic Online decides not to conk out, alright, and then we go in for a couple of... it's struggling. We go in for some Polyraptors and we get a couple of Egg Dinosaurs. And then Enrage is triggered over here as well. Not very often at all that you trigger other people's Enrage. In fact, I've never played against another Enrage player. It's a very rare archetype to see. So after all of this, we might have to still go for the Blasphemous Act, unfortunately. I wasn't expecting to get into the Raging Swordtooth, and unfortunately we don't have a choice with that. I'll have a look and see what the blocking situation's like. We'll just sacrifice... do we want to sacrifice an egg? Are we going to blow the board up? Yeah, I've no idea what to do here, whether to deal damage to the eggs or to sacrifice them. I don't think it really makes a difference. Yeah, let's just sacrifice a treasure. They sacrificed a swamp to that one. What did we get into play there? That was Zekama. So, yeah, we draw another card. And we've got 3 damage on stuff here. So let's say yes, deal damage to everything, and we'll get a bunch more. What is it even called? Enrage into play. Yeah, Enrage it's called. So triggering the Siege Horn for more plus counters, more lands with the Ranging Raptors, and forcing everyone to sacrifice stuff with Silver-clad Ferocidons. We get more tokens into play with Polyraptors. So we should have enough blockers in play, actually. Oh, we'll put the Bellowing Aegisaur on the stack first. We should have done that before the Polyraptors. And then these are even more... Oh, of course, we get dragons from these dragon eggs, don't we? So we get a dragon and a dinosaur. Yeah, so we ought to have enough stuff in play here to block the swing in from Hek 1. Silver-clad Ferocidons triggers again. We'll sacrifice another treasure token. Smothering Tithe has done really well for us with the Ferocidons out. Then the Atla Palani will trigger and we'll get into something else potentially. In fact, we do get into something else. What is it that we just slammed into? Oh, it's our own Silver-clad Ferocidons, okay. So I'm not going to go for more triggers onto Forerunner of the Empire. Do we want to deal more damage to stuff? We'll kill off our own Forerunner of the Empire if we do. And our own Atla Palani. We won't kill off anything over here. Yeah, let's just say no to it this time. Another dinosaur, that is Thrashing Brontodon, so we can get rid of that Exquisite Blood. Or the... damage dealer over here, Sarkhan's Unsealing. Have to go for that before they cast a creature though. And of course, another dinosaur comes out. Whenever it is dealt damage, you draw a card. Yeah, that'd be pretty good with the Forerunner, but we're not going to go for it. Once we've got some more plus counters from Bellowing Aegisaur, we'll be able to go for a couple of these, I think, because the damage here cancels it out. 2 Aegisaur plus counters plus 2 damage from the Forerunners equals no damage, effectively. So we'll put a plus counter on all of our stuff. And then the Polyraptor comes down after that because I stacked it wrong. That is even more card draw. We get into an Anointed Procession as well. Oh, we've got a Marauding Raptor now as well. Whenever another creature enters, it deals 2 damage to it. If a dinosaur's dealt damage this way, it buffs it. So we're really getting into our Enrage enablers here. Oh, and hang on, does that go infinite? Oh, I hope it doesn't go infinite. I don't have a sack outlet. I seem to vaguely recall that there's an accidental loop you can do. We can kill off the Marauding Raptor with Forerunner of the Empire anyway, can't we? Yeah, I think these two are infinite, so I'm going to have to say yes here and potentially kill off a bunch of our stuff. I think we do kill some of our things here, actually. Ugh. Alright, so we go for the Aegisaur first. Silverclad Ferocidons, and then the Polyraptors. Are any of you keeping track of this? Because I'm not. Then whenever a Polyraptor comes down, it will trigger the Marauding Raptor, which will deal 2 damage to it, which will trigger another Polyraptor coming down, and it just goes infinite. So it just so happens that also triggers Forerunner of the Empire, which gives us an out, because we can kill off our own Marauding Raptor to kill off the loop and try and get to the bottom of this stack. We've dealt damage to our opponent, so we'll just... Oh, we can actually sacrifice Marauding Raptor to that. There we go. That solves the problem. So that gets rid of the loop. And then we just have to get all the Polyraptors out and draw cards with Elemental Bond and deal damage with Forerunner. Then Bellowing Aegisaur, we finally get down to that. That will put another plus counter on all of our stuff. Then even more Polyraptor triggers. We'll wait until we've put all the plus counters on, and then we can go for these last 2 Forerunners. And actually, I think we've got... Yeah, we'll just say no to them, because we don't want to waste even more of our opponent's time. This turn has become a real solitaire turn for us, so huge shout-outs to my opponents for playing it out. This is the benefit of playing with patrons. So be sure to thank the patrons for playing this out, because most of the people on Magic Online wouldn't, which is understandable. Not even going to bother looking at the cards we've got in hand after all that. Okay, we've got Infinite there with Thornbite Staff. Let's get rid of Cultivate, a bunch of lands. Alright, now after all that, let's see what Heck 1 can do. All the damage has obviously been removed now. They've just been drawing into mana, unfortunately. Oh, they've got a chance to go for Sarkhan's Unsealing here. I don't think it matters, but yeah, I forgot all about that. Okay, Atali going into Go-Go. They're just going to see if they can get into some kind of board wipe, I imagine. Yeah, we had a chance to do something about that as well. Well, if they get into a board wipe, so be it. Serves me right for still... have no idea what I did with that Boros Charm. Alright, another mana doubler in Zendikar Resurgent. That's card draw for them as well. Oh, and that does count as being cast as well. Oh, hang on. What are they casting? They got into Verdant Sun's Avatar somehow. I don't know how they did that. Oh, they got our Verdant Sun's Avatar, and then they got a Zendikar Resurgent off of themselves, yeah. I'm thinking that this just triggers off of who they're swinging into, but it doesn't. That's targeting us, of course. We are on 9. Yeah, Verdant Sun's Avatar, we could have done with that. Although we can't gain life because of Erebos. Let's say that we want to kill that thing off with the Thrashing Brontodon. Should have done that before now. And the Swords to Plowshares is a lot better now because our opponent can't gain life. Do they have protection? Are they going for Teferi's protection in response to that? Oh, they've got Teferi's protection. Excellent. Yeah, Heck 1 might win this. But yeah, I think the thing to do is take out Go-Go and therefore the Erebos, and then we can Swords to Plowshares, one of our own creatures. Verdant Sun's avatar comes down and does not gain them any life. Now then, can Go-Go do anything? He has had to sacrifice some mana because of our, what is the card called? The Silverclad Ferocidons. We've got one of those each, so he's had to sacrifice a lot of stuff. Alright, going for drawing a card. Toxic Deluge mana is up. And they've got the life to do it. And I wouldn't mind going down to a Toxic Deluge because Boros Charm wouldn't have done anything about that. Alright, going for drawing another card, so I doubt they're going to be able to do anything at this point. It is a Bag of Holding. Then rolling the planar dice again, the most important factor of the entire game. And rolling a blank again, so Go-Go being really unlucky on that front. I think there's 4 blanks on a planar die. There's Chaos and planar, and then 4 blanks. I think that's what it is. And that is for when you're playing planar chase, for any of you that don't know. Alright, so at the end of the turn, I don't know if there's anything for us to do or not. Alright, an Austere Command will not help us. Let's drop the command tower. That makes landfall with the Nesting Dragon. Then we'll get down Italy and try and get something that might help us out with Heck 1. Forerunner of the Empire triggers. We'll make a couple of eggs here. Then we can go in for the Swiftfoot Boots. And that can go on to Italy. Then we'll just swing everything in. Go-Go, he's the only one that we can swing in at anyway. In fact, we're best leaving back some blockers, aren't we? So we'll go in, well, there's a few Vigilance things. Yeah, we'll just swing in with everything, whatever. I've already taken up enough of my opponent's time. Tally triggers, let's see what we get. Oh, a Goring Ceratops. Unfortunately, that won't do anything for us just yet, but we'll get that down. No idea what Mana Web is. Whenever a land an opponent controls is tapped for mana, tap all lands that player controls that could produce a type that the land produces. Yeah, so definitely some kind of stacks, hate bears variant, but just a more fun variant if there is such a thing. That triggers on opponents, so we can get that down. Oh, Goring Ceratops has been exiled from Heck 1, so that's ours. Still won't do anything this turn. Now then, we'll go for a yes onto Forerunner of the Empire, which gets rid of the Atla Palani eggs. More plus counters with Bellowing Aegisaur, and then Polyraptor again. We'll put Silverclad Ferocidons on the stack there, and the Ripjaw Raptor. Yeah, I was hoping the game would be done by now, but Teferi's protection has messed us up on that front, so huge props to my opponent. I hopefully won't make them sit through all this again. We'll say yes once more to the Forerunner, just so that we can get rid of those dinosaur, or that dinosaur egg. Then we're saying no to Endless Forerunner. Hopefully this will all go through on its own once I put these two on the stack. There we go, we've got Teferi's protection of our own, so hopefully Heck 1 can't take us out. How many cards do we have in the deck actually? Alright, we've got 36, that should be alright. In fact, I don't really want to do this, but just because it's Magic Online and it's a real pain in the neck and my opponents are being really patient, I don't want to waste their time any further than I already have. I'm going to go for Swords to Plowshares onto the Forerunner, if I can find it. Yeah, Swords to Plowshares on there. That might cost us the game, but it's we've got the Teferi's protection now, so it's just for the sake of speeding things along, because we don't have a sack outlet, and we might end up decking ourselves here anyway. Our opponents will have to sacrifice to the Silverclad Ferocidons again. And they get rid of... Oh, that's their own Verdant Sun's avatar. Okay, I just assumed it was ours. Mogis got rid of the bag. Atla Palani Oh god, Atla Palani's going to get us into something else. Oh, we haven't gotten all of our dinosaurs out of our library, have we? I don't think the Atla Palani got a dinosaur out there. Maybe we've used up all the dinosaurs already. How many cards are we at now? 21 left in the library. I think we're okay. We have to draw off of the elemental bond, so yeah, we can deck ourselves with that. Like I've said, it's not a May ability. The Ripjaw Raptor is not a May ability either. And there we go, managed to crash the client. It's been going really sluggishly for a while now. That's entirely my fault, but it's it's just in Rage. It's how the deck functions, and yeah, I wouldn't want to play it in paper, but apparently playing it on Magic Online kills the client. So apologies for that. I think I'll discuss it with Hek1 and Go and see what they say. I think I was going to win anyway. I don't think I was going to deck myself, but I'll put something in at the end of the game because we had Teferi's Protection. So our opponent swings in at us. We Teferi's Protect. I assume that goes through, and then we swing in at them for the victory next turn. Go wide on them. I assume Go was going down there. But yeah, crashed the client and was trying to get through that as quickly as I can. Still massive props to my opponents. They played through that, even though the last, I don't know how long, has just been solitaire magic, where they were just watching me play. So a massive thank you to them for that. Be sure to thank them in the comment section because they really do deserve it. It's thanks to them that we can get games like this without people scooping it up. We can actually see the game come to fruition. There'd be nothing wrong with scooping in this situation because it's just watching someone else play, but still it's fun to watch in an edited video. So a huge thank you to you all again, and be sure to leave it a like and a subscribe if you did enjoy it. I'm tribalkai on the EDH channel. Thank you for watching.